Kale had always believed space was quiet. On the distant research station orbiting the small blue planet of Viridian 7, silence had become normal. Every day he worked alone, studying artifacts from alien worlds. Strange objects, left behind by civilizations long gone, filled the lab with quiet hums and flickers of light. Kale liked it this way. It was calm, predictable, and safe. Until she arrived. It was late in the evening and Kale was carefully analyzing a shimmering crystal. Its glow pulsed softly, as if it were alive. Suddenly the door to his lab slid open with a hiss. Kale looked up, startled. The figure in the doorway made him freeze. She was unlike anything he had ever seen. Humanoid in shape, yes, but her skin glimmered like polished metal under the lab lights. Her eyes were a soft violet, glowing faintly, and her long hair floated slightly as if it had a life of its own. She did not wear a uniform or protective suit. There was nothing to hide her body, no armor, no tech. She was exposed, completely, bare in form, but not in a human sense. It was not about flesh or nudity, it was about honesty. She was revealed, nothing hidden. And she smiled, a smile so calm, so confident, that Kale felt both fear and curiosity at once. What are you? He stammered. His voice sounded small even to himself. The alien stepped forward, slow and graceful, her eyes never leaving his. She said nothing, but a voice filled his mind. Kale stumbled backward, eyes wide. Do not be afraid. I mean no harm. Telepathy. He had read about it in theory, but to experience it was different. He could hear her words directly in his thoughts. They were soft, patient, and strangely comforting. I don't understand, Kyle managed. Are you alive? Yes. I am alive. My name is Leora. I need your help. Kale's hand trembled slightly as he backed away from his workbench. Help? From me? Why? Because you are human. Humans are rare in the galaxy, rare and capable of things no one else can do. I am being hunted. I need refuge, and your station is my only chance. Kale swallowed hard. This was insane. Aliens? Telepathy? Being hunted? None of it made sense. Yet, looking at her, he felt a strange trust rising inside him. Something about her openness, the way she stood without hiding, without weapons or walls, made him believe her. Okay, he said finally, his voice firmer. You can stay, but you have to tell me everything. Why are they hunting you? Leora's eyes glimmered with relief. She floated closer, her presence calm but commanding. There is a federation, a powerful alliance of species that fears us. My kind is fragile, small in numbers, and they see us as a threat. You humans, you are different, creative, courageous. That is why I came to you. Kyle shook his head in disbelief. I'm just an engineer. I'm not a soldier. I'm not a hero. She smiled again, that gentle, reassuring smile. You underestimate. Your kind. Humans survive where others fail. You adapt, you create, you care. That is strength, Kale. That is what I need. He stared at her, trying to wrap his mind around the idea that a being from another world, who literally glowed with light, was counting on him. And yet, he felt a spark of something he had not felt in years, excitement. The kind of excitement that comes when life is bigger than routine, when adventure knocks on your door in the most impossible form. Kale glanced around the lab. Alien crystals flickered with energy. Tools lay scattered across the benches. In this room, surrounded by objects he barely understood, he felt the first stirrings of purpose in a long time. Leora, standing there completely revealed in form and intention, was more than a visitor. She was a challenge, a mystery, and perhaps a friend. Okay, he said again, this time with a little more conviction. You can stay, but you'll need to follow the rules here. No touching anything without asking, and no wandering around the station. She nodded, a graceful movement that made her hair shimmer. Agreed. I will follow your guidance. But Kyle, I am not weak. I am only visible. And in visibility there is trust. He blinked. Visible? She tilted her head, smiling softly. I have removed all barriers. No disguise, no armor, no shields. I am stripped bare, Kale. You see me as I truly am, and I see you. That is how trust begins. Kale felt a shiver run down his spine. It was not fear, it was awe. He realized that in all his years on the station, he had never encountered someone, or something, so open, so honest, so real. The rest of the evening passed quietly. Kyle showed Leora the lab, pointing out instruments and explaining their purposes. She listened intently, asking questions in her calm, telepathic voice. Even though she could understand everything immediately, she still wanted explanations. It made her seem even more human in her curiosity. By the time the station's dim lights flickered to night mode, Kale felt an unexpected warmth in his chest. He had just met an alien being who could have terrified him, yet he felt protective. And more than protective, he felt inspired. There was something about Leora's openness, her willingness to reveal herself fully, that made him realize how much courage it took to show the truth. For the first time in years, Kyle looked forward to tomorrow. He didn't know what dangers awaited them or how the Federation might find Leora, but he knew one thing. He would face it. Together, he and this alien who had walked into his room, stripped bare of defenses and waited with a smile, were beginning a story that would change everything. Outside, the stars of Viridian 7 twinkled silently. Inside, a human and an alien shared a quiet moment that held the promise of adventure, danger, and hope. The next morning, Kale woke early, his mind racing with thoughts about Leora. She had spent the night quietly observing the lab, her glowing eyes flicking over the tools and artifacts with curiosity. She didn't sleep like a human, but she didn't seem restless either. It was as if she absorbed the world silently, storing every detail. Kyle poured himself a cup of bitter coffee from the station's machine and stared at her. So, tell me the whole story, he said slowly. Why are you being hunted? Who exactly is after you? Leora floated closer, her form shimmering faintly with the soft morning light. The Federation, she said simply. A collection of species that rules the galaxy with fear. They believe my kind is dangerous, but we are peaceful, Kale. We only want to survive. Kale rubbed his eyes, trying to make sense of it. Dangerous? You don't look dangerous. He gestured at her slender body and glowing skin. You're delicate. Appearance can be misleading, she said. We have abilities they do not understand. Our minds are fast, our senses acute. We adapt quickly. Humans are rare because you combine strength and creativity. That is why I came to you. I need someone like you to help me. Kale felt a mixture of fear and pride. The idea that a being from another world had chosen him for his humanity was overwhelming. But there was no time to hesitate. He had to understand the situation if they were to survive. Okay, he said carefully. What exactly do they want? Do they want to capture you? Study you? Destroy you? Leora's glowing eyes dimmed slightly. All of the above. They fear knowledge they cannot control. My kind remembers too much, sees too clearly, and can solve problems no one else can. They call it dangerous. I call it living. Kale nodded slowly. He could feel the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. Helping Leora would not be easy. The station was isolated, yes, but the Federation had ships faster and smarter than anything he had ever seen. One mistake, and both of them could be gone. I know, Leora said, reading his thoughts again. But hiding will not save me. You must trust in your human strengths. You must trust yourself. Kale sighed. I don't even know where to start. Your species, it's so advanced. How am I supposed to help? She floated closer, tilting her head in a thoughtful gesture. Start with understanding. Learn what we have left behind. We are a civilization of memory and technology. My artifact, this crystal, holds knowledge, maps, and messages. It is my key to survival. You must help me unlock it. Kale stared at the glowing crystal on his bench. Until now, he had only studied artifacts from dead worlds, relics with no minds to guide him. But this was alive in some way. It pulsed gently, almost in response to Leora's thoughts. He reached out cautiously. How do I do that? With patience and imagination, she said simply. You humans see solutions that others miss. You will know what to do when the crystal responds to your touch. For hours, Kale worked with Leora. She floated beside him, guiding his hands telepathically when he faltered. At first, nothing happened. The crystal's light flickered faintly, but no information emerged. Kale began to grow frustrated. I don't understand it, he said, leaning back. Nothing I do is working. Leora's voice was calm, soothing, yet firm. Do not force it. You are impatient. Creativity cannot be rushed. Humans often fail because they act too quickly. Slow down, listen, and let the answers come to you. Kale closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and tried again. He felt the pulsing of the crystal in his hands, a rhythm like a heartbeat. Slowly, shapes began to form within the light. Strange symbols and flowing patterns. His mind struggled at first to comprehend them, but as he let his imagination guide him, the patterns began to make sense. Good, Leora said. You are beginning to understand. This is knowledge. Maps to safe worlds. Warnings of dangers. Messages from my people. Kyle's heart raced. He realized the artifact was far more than he had imagined. It was a living archive, a record of an entire civilization, waiting to be read by someone capable, and he was that someone. You credible, Kale said. The next morning, Kyle woke to the soft glow of Leora's skin filling the lab with gentle light. It was quiet, almost peaceful, but Kale could feel the tension beneath it. They both knew the Federation was still out there, somewhere in the darkness of space, hunting. Yet despite the danger, something in Kale had shifted. He no longer felt alone. Leora floated near the artifact, her eyes scanning its glowing surfaces. We must work together, Kale, she said in his mind, her telepathy, smooth and calm. The answers we need will not come from one mind alone. Kale nodded, gripping a tool tightly. I understand, but I've never worked with anyone like you. How do we even start? By learning each other's ways, Leora replied. I see patterns, I understand symbols, I sense history. You see differently. You imagine, you create. When we combine these perspectives, we can unlock what is hidden. Kyle swallowed. It sounded simple, but he knew it wouldn't be. Alien technology had always been complex, and now he had to match his mind with hers, forming a kind of unspoken teamwork. Hours passed as they worked side by side. Leora would point out faint energy pulses in the crystal, and Kyle would use his human intuition to try and interpret them. Slowly, the patterns began to make sense. Symbols that had looked like random lines before started to form maps. Maps of planets, safe routes, and places of refuge. Kale marveled at Leora's patience. She did not rush him. She allowed him to struggle, guiding him gently when he faltered. It was unlike working with any human colleague. There was no ego, no frustration, only focus and trust. You are improving, Leora said softly, sensing his excitement. Humans adapt faster than I expected. Kale chuckled, wiping sweat from his brow. Adaptation is all I have. I've spent my life solving problems no one else wanted to touch. But this is something else entirely. It is the human mind that makes this possible, Leora replied. Your kind sees possibilities others cannot. That is why we came to you. Kale felt a warmth spread in his chest. He had always thought of humans as ordinary, just another species in the galaxy. But now, Through Leora's words, he began to see the truth. Humans were unique, creative, brave, and resourceful, and she believed in him. By midday, they had uncovered a set of coordinates hidden deep within the crystal. Kale traced them with his finger, astonished. These are not just maps. They're guides, safe worlds, resources, even messages from your people. It's incredible. Yes, Leora said. And it is only the beginning. There is much more to learn and much more that must be protected. Kale leaned back, his mind racing. Protect? From who? The Federation? She nodded. Yes. They will come. You must be ready. But do not fear them. You have strengths they cannot predict. That is the human advantage. The more they worked, the more Kale realized he was learning as much from her as she was from him. Leora's thinking was precise and logical, yet she approached problems with a kind of wisdom he had never seen. And in return, he offered creativity, flexibility, and intuition, skills that no technology could replicate. Together they made a perfect team. Hours became days and a rhythm developed. Kale would study the artifact, experimenting, testing, and imagining possibilities. Leora would guide him telepathically, nudging his mind toward patterns he might have missed. Sometimes they worked in silence, the only sound the soft hum of the station. Other times they shared thoughts, stories, and small jokes that made Kale laugh despite the danger looming beyond the station. One evening, as the twin suns of Viridian 7 set beyond the observation deck, Kale paused and looked at Leora. No, he said slowly. I never thought I'd meet anyone like you. Someone so open, so confident, and yet vulnerable at the same time. Leora tilted her head, her hair floating like water in zero gravity. Vulnerable? She asked, her voice gentle. Yes, Kyle said. You came here, unprotected, without any armor or weapons. You didn't hide anything, you trusted me immediately. I've never seen that before. Most humans wouldn't dare. She smiled, a soft glow radiating from her. And yet, Kale, it is not weakness. It is courage. True, courage. To show oneself completely, to trust another, is far rarer than any weapon or shield. Kale felt a shiver run down his spine. He had always thought courage meant facing danger with a weapon, but now he understood it could also mean being honest, open, and willing to rely on others. Leora had taught him that. You are learning quickly, she said, reading his thoughts. But more importantly, you are seeing yourself clearly. Humans are stronger than you imagine, and together, we are stronger still. Kale nodded, feeling a sense of purpose that he hadn't known in years. The artifact was only part of the story. The bond he was forming with Leora, the trust and teamwork, was just as important. They were becoming a team in every sense. Two very different beings united by a shared goal. As night fell, the lab glowed softly from the crystal's light. Outside, the stars seemed to watch silently, a reminder of the vast galaxy full of dangers and wonders. Kyle worked late, guided by Leora's presence, and for the first time, he felt a thrill he had never felt before. Danger was coming, yes. The Federation would not wait forever, but Kale knew they could face it. With his human creativity and Leora's alien knowledge, they could find solutions no one else would. And in that thought, he found hope. For the first time in a long while, Kale felt ready, not just to face the unknown, but to embrace it. The galaxy was big, full of mysteries and full of life, and he was not alone anymore. Together, Kale and Leora had begun something extraordinary. Not just a mission, not just a fight for survival, but a bond that could change everything. The adventure was only beginning, and already Kale could feel the weight and wonder of it in every beat of his heart. The calm of the space station did not last long. Kale was deep in his work, analyzing the crystal with Leora floating beside him. When the warning alarms blared through the lab, Red lights flashed, casting harsh shadows across the walls. The soft hum of machinery was drowned by the station's emergency sirens. Kel's heart jumped. What's happening?" he shouted, gripping the edge of his workstation. Leora's glowing form stiffened. "They have found us," she said, her voice calm but urgent in his mind. "The Federation ships are approaching. They will arrive within hours." Kale swallowed hard. "Ships? How many? How fast?" "Too many to fight directly." "Faster than anything you've built," she replied. "We must use your human ingenuity. Hide, deceive, and outthink them. There is no other choice." Kale took a deep breath, trying to calm the panic rising in his chest. He had faced engineering challenges, power failures, and alien artifacts before, but this was different. This was life and death. And yet, he thought, glancing at Leora, "We can do this." "Okay," he said finally. "We'll do it your way, but I need options. Give me something I can use." Leora's eyes shimmered. "The station itself can be a weapon, if used wisely. You must set traps, misdirect sensors, and manipulate the environment. Humans excel at improvisation. That is our advantage." Kale's mind raced. He ran through the lab in rapid calculations. He could use the artifact's energy pulses to create false readings on the station's external scanners. He could reroute power to certain sections to mislead intruders. And he could set up automated defenses, simple but effective, designed to confuse and delay the enemy. Hours passed in tense activity. Kyle worked tirelessly, moving through the lab and engineering decks with Leora guiding him every step of the way. She pointed out vulnerabilities in the station's systems that he would never have noticed, and he suggested creative uses of tools and machinery that surprised even her. "You humans think differently," Leora said at one point, her glowing eyes brightening. "Your creativity is remarkable. This is why we came to you." Kale smiled grimly, though sweat dripped down his forehead. "Well, it's a good thing I like problem-solving under pressure." As night fell over Viridian 7, distant shadows appeared on the station's external sensors, small blips at first, then dozens, then hundreds. Federation ships, sleek and fast, moved with precision toward the station. The countdown to confrontation had begun. Kale felt a knot tighten in his stomach, but he pushed it aside. Fear would slow him. Focus would save them. "Leora," he said, "we have to keep them out long enough for me to activate the traps. Can you help me with the crystal?" "Yes," she replied. "Its energy can interfere with their sensors, but it requires careful calibration. One mistake, and it will be useless. Or worse, detectable." Together they worked quickly, Leora guiding his hands as he adjusted the artifact's settings. The crystal pulsed brighter, sending subtle waves through the station's systems. Kyle could feel the tension in the air, the station itself almost alive with energy as they prepared for the incoming fleet. Finally, Kale stood back, wiping his brow. "All right, everything is ready. Now we wait." "Not entirely," Leora said softly. "You must anticipate their moves, think like they would, then act differently. That is your strength." Minutes stretched into hours. Kale and Leora watched the sensors, noting each incoming ship, predicting each maneuver. Then the first Federation scouts appeared, their lights glinting coldly in space. Kale held his breath. The traps they had set worked immediately. False sensor readings scattered the enemy's perception. Automated systems activated, releasing small bursts of energy that forced the scout ships to change course. Kyle's plan was working. "Well done," Leora said, her voice proud. "Your creativity." Kyle barely slept. He sat in the lab, eyes fixed on the glowing crystal, while Leora hovered beside him, softly illuminating the room. The first wave of Federation ships had retreated, but Kyle knew it was only temporary. The main fleet would come next, faster and larger. This time they would not be fooled so easily. "They are coming," Leora said, her voice calm but firm in his mind. "We have little time. You must act quickly." Kyle rubbed his temples. I've done everything I can think. Oh, he muttered. What else is there? There is always another way, she said. Humans excel where others fail. Your strength lies not in power but in imagination. That is what I need from you now. Kyle stared at her. Her words were not comforting. They were a challenge. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. He began to think like the Federation. How would they attack? How would they breach the station? Then he forced himself to think differently. If they expect strength and weapons, we will give them illusions. If they predict patterns, we will create chaos. Hours passed as Kale devised a plan. He combined the station's systems with the crystal's energy, creating a network of automated defenses, sensor loops, and decoy signals. Each move was designed to confuse, mislead, and delay the enemy. Leora guided him, her telepathy fine-tuning each calculation. Excellent, she said. Your mind sees possibilities no one else would. This is why we came to you. As the stars outside darkened into the long night of Viridian 7, the sensors detected the main fleet appearing on the horizon. Sleek ships glimmered in the distance, faster and larger than the first wave. Kyle's heart pounded, but he forced himself to stay calm. Ready? He asked Leora, gripping the console. Always, she replied. The first of the Federation ships fired, energy beams slicing through space toward the station. But Kale's systems were ready. Automated defenses activated, sending bursts of energy to intercept the beams. Decoy signals made the ships misfire, wasting precious energy. Kale watched, tense, as the enemy struggled to adjust. They are learning, Leora said. Adapt faster than the first wave, but do not panic. Creativity wins where brute force fails. Kyle nodded. He moved quickly, adjusting power flows, rerouting energy, and improvising solutions on the fly. Every move he made was unpredictable, every decision fueled by human intuition. The Federation fleet could not anticipate him. They had technology, yes, but Kyle had imagination, and that made all the difference. One ship managed to get past the first set of defenses, heading straight
for the lab.
Kale's pulse quickened. Leora, do you see it? Yes, she replied. Divert it with the energy pulse from the crystal. Aim for its sensors, not its hull. Kale activated the crystal. A pulse of light surged outward, striking the ship's sensors. The vessel veered off course, spinning harmlessly into space. Kyle exhaled, feeling a spark of triumph. Well done, Leora said. Her voice carried pride, not just in his actions but in his mind's ability to adapt and create. You are seeing the strength of your humanity, Kale. This is your edge. The battle raged for hours. Kale used every skill he had, logic, intuition, improvisation, to outthink the enemy. Leora remained his guide and partner, her calm presence, steadying him when fear threatened to rise. Together they became a force no fleet could predict. At one point, Kale paused to observe the chaos outside. Federation ships fired relentlessly, but the station seemed untouchable. They were trapped in a web of deception, misdirection, and human ingenuity. Kyle allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. We're doing it, he said softly. We're actually doing it. Leora's glow brightened. Yes, you are doing more than surviving. You are thriving. This is the human edge, the ability to face impossible odds and create solutions where none exist. Hours later, the Federation fleet, exhausted and confused, began to retreat. Kyle watched the ships disappear into the distance, his chest heavy with relief and adrenaline. They had survived not by strength or numbers but by human creativity and courage, guided by Leora's insight. Kale sank into a chair, feeling the weight of exhaustion settle over him. Leora floated down beside him, her glow soft and warm. This victory is temporary, she said, but it proves a truth. Humans are capable of more than others believe, and together we can face anything. Kale nodded, still catching his breath. I never imagined, that we could do this. I never imagined I could do this. You underestimated yourself, Leora said gently. Your mind is your greatest weapon, and it is rare in the galaxy. That is why I came to you. Kale looked at her, feeling admiration and gratitude. She had not just guided him through a battle, she had shown him the potential of his own mind, the power of human creativity, courage, and adaptability. For the first time, he truly understood what it meant to be human in a galaxy filled with unknown dangers. The station quieted again, the crystal's gentle glow a reminder of the night's events. Outside, the stars of Viridian 7 sparkled like silent witnesses to their victory. Kale leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. Danger was not gone. The Federation would return, and the galaxy remained full of unknown threats. But Kale felt a new certainty. With Leora by his side, he could face anything. He had seen the power of human imagination and courage in action, and he knew it was more than enough to survive, and even thrive. As the lab glowed softly in the night, Kale and Leora shared a quiet moment of victory. It was more than survival. It was a testament to what humans could achieve, and Kale realized, with a thrill in his chest, that the adventure was far from over. The galaxy was vast, full of danger and mystery, but for the first time, he was ready. Together, human and alien, they had faced impossible odds, and won. And they would do it again. The morning after the battle, the station was quiet. Kale moved slowly through the lab, still exhausted but alert. The crystal on the workstation pulsed gently, a reminder of Leora's presence and the knowledge they had uncovered together. Leora floated nearby, her glow soft and reassuring. You have done well, Kale, she said in his mind. You have proven the strength of your humanity, but this is only the beginning. Kale nodded. I know. The Federation will come back. They won't give up so easily. Perhaps not, she replied. But now, you understand your strengths. You know how to think differently, how to improvise, how to survive against impossible odds. That is why humans are rare and valued. Kale glanced at her, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. You really believe that about humans? He asked. Do, she said simply. Your species combines courage, creativity, and compassion in ways no other species can. You survive not just through power, but through intelligence, adaptability, and heart. Kale smiled faintly. I never thought of it that way. Leora's form shimmered slightly. Most humans do not. That is why our meeting is important. You see yourself more clearly now. And together, we can achieve more than any of us could alone. For the next several hours, Kale and Leora worked side by side. They repaired minor damages to the station, recalibrated the crystal, and reviewed the maps and data hidden within it. The artifact held information about safe planets, resource caches, and messages from Leora's people. Each discovery felt like uncovering a treasure, a step toward rebuilding what her species had lost. There is much to explore, Leora said thoughtfully. The galaxy is vast. Many systems have secrets, and some are dangerous. But there are also opportunities to learn, to help, and to survive. Kale nodded. He realized that the adventure they had begun was no longer just about survival. It was about discovery, partnership, and making a difference in a galaxy that often seemed cold and indifferent. Kale, Leora said suddenly, her voice soft but firm, you could remain here safely hiding from danger. But that is not your way. You are meant to face challenges, to create solutions, to protect and inspire. Will you join me on this journey? Kale's heart skipped. Join you? He repeated. Do you mean leave the station? Explore the galaxy? Yes, she replied. Together we can uncover knowledge, protect those in need, and show the galaxy the strength of humans. I need you at my side. Kale looked around the lab, then at the glowing crystal, and finally at Leora. A thrill ran through him. He had spent so long in isolation, studying old artifacts and living a quiet, predictable life. But now, here was an opportunity unlike any he had imagined. Adventure, danger, and discovery awaited, and he would not face it alone. "I'll go," he said finally, a firm determination in his voice. "I'll come with you." Leora's smile widened. "Good. Together, we will achieve much. And you will continue to see the power of your humanity in action." Preparations took the rest of the day. Cale packed his tools, checked the station's systems, and ensured that their departure would leave the base ready in case others arrived. Leora guided him through alien star charts and navigation paths, showing him routes and safe zones that humans had never known. As the station's docking bay doors opened, Cale took a deep breath. The stars of Viridian 7 stretched endlessly before him. The galaxy was immense, filled with mysteries, wonders, and dangers beyond imagining. But he felt ready, not because he was strong or fast or armed with advanced weapons, but because he had imagination, courage, and an ally he could trust. Leora floated beside him as they stepped into her sleek, glowing ship. It was unlike any human craft, organic, in design, alive with subtle pulses of light and energy. Cale felt a thrill as they rose from the station, moving into the silent, star-filled expanse. "Do you feel it, Cale?" "Lee,